Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
All praises to Yahweh.
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kadash.
Yeah. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great
Great
Millstone
Millstone.
that rule well. Shalom to all the brothers doing this work in sincerity and truth. Pushing his word out to the four corners, man. Just wanted to go into a few scriptures. Was kind of looking to just start on going into forefathers, going into the great men of Israel that the Lord sent down, and basically examples of us to follow. And really, they all spoke of the end. They all spoke of this present time we're in, and they all desired to see it, man. This time when you're gonna have the end, the son of perdition getting put in the dirt, and then Israel getting raised up, perfected, man, and Yahushua receiving his glory. These are things that have been spoken of, for the longest. So yeah, I'll start on this. Sirach 44:1. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. Yeah, that's something that looking at your fathers, looking at who begat you, that's something that's been scorned in this present day, especially among Jake. Among Jake, it's become very matriarchal. It's got the black woman at the head of the household, which is something that Esau schemed through slavery. It's something that has been set up through the destruction of the Israelite man, and that's why, because that perpetuates that destruction, man. You have the woman at the top; she's basically continuing that destruction down on the sons, because a woman can't raise a man. So these, that's why it's when the men are raised up, when the men are in their right minds, leading the nation. That's the only way Israel can be raised up, and that's how it's been from the jump. You go back to the time of Judges, probably get into that through, Lord will. Then you see times where Jake was going through hell, but then what? The Lord set up his men, those men that when he spoke to Elijah, he said, 7,000 won't bow the knee to Baal. So they're there, and they're always there. They've been set since before the world was made. So yeah, before they were even being called Israelites. You guys on?
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Yahushai, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Yahushai and Mashiach is the Most High Yahweh.
Yeah, so that's the order. That's how order's disseminated on the earth, man. It's got the Yahweh, you got Most High Yahweh at the top, Yahushai's son underneath, then the man, then a woman. And that's the order that's been set. So that's why Esau, and that's the thing, Esau he's wiser than Daniel. He's searched the scriptures, he's done his research, and he's basically formulated and schemed how to destroy Jake. That's why it's so consistent. It's even if you deal with hardcore bondage, that ended a while back. Now it's a perpetual destruction, mainly through the financial means, man. But also cultural, which is where that destroying a woman enabled it, man. So yeah, that is what through the spirit. It's raising up the men, man. That little sanctuary, and then what building back that house of David. I'll get into it later as well. Lord of all. So Sirach 44:2 it says, "The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies." Yeah, that's what the witness of Yahushua is, the spirit of prophecy. So that's something that's been a point of the men, the prophets of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua from the start. It's the prophets have all spoken before, basically prophesied of what's going to come, whether it's judgment, salvation, or whatever. The Lord has his men, and that prophecy is a key part, which is why in this time, you've got the prophets. It's going to be proven. That's why you have prophets and you have false prophets. Whoever's lying, whoever's talking that smack, and it is basically had that lying spirit put on them. Because you in the scriptures, there is lying spirits. Those men have them lying spirits. The Lord's, it's going to be revealed. The Lord's not dealing with them. The Lord, his men, he gives them the truth. Verse 4, leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people. Meet for the people. Wise and eloquent are their instructions, such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honoured in their generations and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them that their praises might be reported. Yeah, their name. That's even you go by the books of the scriptures. Got like the books of Moses, Proverbs of Solomon. There's recorded names of the men. You know, different kings, the righteous kings of Israel. So wicked names are recorded too. But what the wise righteous men, they're recorded. They're there in the scriptures, and they're examples to look to, man. And those are men, and that's men as well, because reincarnations in the scriptures. These men are coming back, so it's coming back in a cycle. You got those same great men, the Lord's chosen, those of his number, man. He's chosen. They as well are coming back, and then what? They're going to be doing the same thing, which it's going to get into. And some, verse 9, and some there be which have no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them. But these were merciful men, whose righteousness have not been forgotten. Yeah, so even those that weren't recorded, even those that might have known that in this present day, their name's not remembered, but what? The eyes of the Most High Power upon the sinful kingdom. The Lord's got his eyes upon all the world, man. The angels have recorded all these things, man. They've seen the righteous deeds that have been done in the dark, where it might have been done, and everyone who forgot it is past. But what? The Lord remembers, because you've still received the reward for those righteous acts. That's why it's like, what is it? Integrity is, I believe, what you do when no one's watching. Might have to. I'll look that up in a sec, just to confirm. But it's, yeah, there's
more
men.
Or less is, yeah, more or less is.
Yeah, but there's men that their deeds now haven't been recorded. Same for wickedness, because there's all forms of wickedness that's been done in the dark. You got men that can go out and present like, they're moving righteous, but then moving completely wicked in the dark. So that's why all these things are going to come out. The book's going to be laid open, man, and the judgment's going to play out. So it says verse 11, with their seed shall continue remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed standeth fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth forevermore. Yeah, that's because in the kingdom, those that are among that righteous number, their deeds are going to be counted, man. They're going to receive the reward, the righteous reward, which everyone's going to know. Everyone's going to be seen. Going to be put in that statement. But among that number, which will be over all the rest of Israel, man, they'll know. It's those 144,000 and the 1/3 as well. They're the ones that are going to have that esteem. But that's why it's that's the thing is these things are going to be eternal. And it's, like I said before, it's been set before the world was made. But then what? It's going to endure. That status is going to last. Like, it says in shame and everlasting contempt for those that didn't basically follow after the Lamb. But then what? That after a while they're going to have their head down for a while. But then it'll be for a while. But then what? It's that esteem that's gonna be eternal. The people, verse 15, the people will tell of their wisdom, and the congregation will show forth their praise. Enoch pleased the Lord and was translated, being an example of repentance to all generations. Noah was found perfect and righteous in the time of wrath. He was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore was he left as a remnant unto the earth. When the flood came, an everlasting covenant was made with him, that all flesh should perish no more by flood. And that's something that, like, the promise was made, and the rainbow's put out as a signifier of that promise. But then Esau's corrupted both sides of that, because this guy's going around saying, oh, there's like ice ages on the planet, and the world's gonna flood and freeze and blah blah blah, and we're gonna die and shit. This guy is fucking insane. You go to Wisdom of Solomon 2, and it goes into why this guy is such a fucking crackpot, lunatic madman, just trying to throw out like, oh, this guy's got the whole concept of like what the heat death of the universe, where everything in the universe will just die. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Just because you're not there to rule, this is it. It's like, oh well, it's just fuck, everything's gonna die. Like, you guys are nuts. In the scripture it says what? It's the earth abideth forever. So it's like these things aren't gonna. It's like Esau saying like, oh yeah, after X amount of billions of years, the sun's gonna blow up. This this is the level of mania you're dealing with. But that's why it's these things. That's why it's those who the Lord deals with. They know it's like, hey, the Lord has mercy. Because even with the flood, that was done for its time. And that's not going to come again. But then what? It's this present one's going to be with fire. You're going to have that fire, man, that judgment.
Which is a cleansing agent.
Yeah. Like water. But then I was thinking like, I don't even know, man, which one's worse. Drowning. I don't like water, man. So drowning, that's just hell. And the slow rise of the tide, man. That's hell.
Oh, well, quick precept.
Come on.
Because you mentioned about the remnant being saved by Noah, which we represent Noah right now. This work that we're doing right now is us making up our ark. That's why it says, everyone that shall be saved shall escape by their works. I believe it says that in the Apocrypha. Isaiah 10:20, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel in truth. The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty power. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness, for the Lord power Yahweh of hosts shall make a consumption even determined in the midst of all the land. That's it.
So Rock 44 and 19. Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory was there none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed, and he would multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, and from river unto utmost part of the land. Which with Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake, and the blessing of all men and the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessing, and gave him an heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes that he part them. Yeah, so that's the point where it's like Israel was that's because it's like you had from the garden, it's what the sons of God, man. Yeah, you had Adam and then the sons of God, where it was that same body of people, that same group of souls, the Israelites, before they were called Israelites. So you had that line that existed. This is why the what's it called? The records are there of the lineages. Because these things is the recording of the lineages. It's how the Lord keeps his promise as well. Because from the start, these things, this is how the Lord authored it. This is how the Lord had it, desired it to go down. And that's how things have played out. Because like now we're in the right in the back end, man. But these things have been in the work for the longest, and that's why it's like, hey, the men that would have been around way back when, they're like, yo, this ain't even gonna go down. And there's even when Yahushua was on the scene, and then prophecy was moving, but then hey, it's like Paul said, there needs to be the fall in the way first. Believe us, Paul.
Yes.
So it's like with that fall in the way, hey, that's occurred. So it's now the time when these things are being fulfilled. I'll read a bit more of the next chapter. So Sirach 45, in 1 it says, and he brought out of him a merciful man which found favour in the sight of all flesh, even Moses, beloved of the Most High and men, whose memorial is blessed. He made him like to glorious saints and magnified him, so these enemies stood in fear of him. Yeah, and it's like Moses is remembered. Even Esau's putting together movies about what went down in Egypt about Moses. Because why? It's these things are stories that have gone out, and it's known. And this shows the record of hey, the Lord basically had honor heaped on these men. Because the only people talking bad about them is heathens, man, and complete degenerates, man. Low lives out here, atheists and whatnot. They don't have no faith. They're not rooted. It's but what? Among the men that know the scriptures, hey, these men were men of honor, man. Integrity. They abided in the work and died in it, man. Those things are worthy of honors, man. And then honor as a concept is something in the modern day been completely thrown out, man. That's been thrown in the bin. Because why? Now it's all about what? It's this society is essentially based off the love of money and the love of yourself, man. Because that's what it says. Well, what? It's in the last days shall come scoffers, man.
Walking after their own lusts.
Yeah. Because that's the spirit of now, man. It's everyone's just working desire, just chasing after their own desires, man. There's no righteousness. No one's thinking about integrity or honor, or the law, or scriptures, or the truth. Even among Jake, only those that the Lord's put the spirit on, only those among his men, man. So yeah, that's why, and that's the thing is, people out here desirous among the wicked men, desirous of fame and honor and glory, but then they don't want to do the work that's needed to gain that, but they'll get that consolation that the world offers. But then you indulging in that, how long is it gonna last? What's it gonna, in the end? How's that gonna how's it gonna benefit you? Because that's all that labor they're doing in that wickedness. This is gonna be dissolved. This is all gonna be melted, man. Literally melted. Like you put in an oven. There's that fucking picture of some idiot that put a pizza in an oven on a plastic chopping board, and then it's got the chopping board melting, man. That's how this place is gonna be dissolved, man. All these systems and structures, man. People have deified like the Hollywood sign in America, the Empire State, the Seattle Needle, the Washington Monument, the White House. All these different things, man. Las Vegas, half of them fucking casinos, all that shit. These things have been deified and turned into what do they call it? Man-made wonders, the man-made wonders. But all these things are going to be melted. The actual there was man-made wonders among the Greeks, like what the Library of Alexander, the Romans built the Colosseum, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. All these different empires, they had things that were considered amazing, glorious marvels. Them things got melted.
There was even a statue in Crete or one of them where it was like in between the sea, the gateway to the island, had like it's like a bridge. It wasn't a bridge, but it went like that. But it had like legs or like a great statue right between the boats went through. They ain't a remnant of that to this day. Like no one is saying, let me go down to Greece and look at that, one of the former wonders of the world. It don't exist.
Yeah, and it's going to be the same. well, even more so with America, because that whole land is going to be raised. So that's why it's, actual honors.
Statue of Zeus in Olympia, I think it was.
Okay. So those actual glories and honors, those things will endure for a time. Oh, well, what's presented as in present will endure for a time, but in the actual glories and honors, those things will. Hey, it's the Lord basically has those things endure, because like, hey, the great men, it's the scriptures, man. The scriptures have been put together. The Lord put the Spirit on men to get together and bind the scriptures together. And then that's why it's like you got hundreds of millions of billions of Bibles around the whole globe, man.
Colossus of Rhodes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So these things are, I think they put that in what was it, Game of Thrones? They had something similar.
Yeah, I know there was one of them
That
pieces
essentially
they had,
based on that. But yeah, you'll see a lot. Yeah, they'll put a lot of that shit together in the period pieces. Yeah, so that's really where you see it. Because that's the thing. He's, like I said, he's done the work, man. He's dug up the earth. He's put together. He's excavated all these things, and he's seen like, okay, this is what people were getting down with. Oh, this was, what materials were used in the money. This is how the houses were built. This is how people lived. This is the kind of, can grab their remains and see like, oh, okay, the people about this tall and blah blah blah. So all these, Esau's able to research these things, but then he's using it for what? Wickedness. Because then he put his pasty ass face in there. So this is what who's memorial? Okay. So yeah. Sirach 45:3. By his words he caused the wonders to cease, and he made him glorious in the sight of kings, and gave him a commandment for his people, and showed him part of his glory. He sanctified him in his faithfulness and meekness, and chose him out of all men. He made him to hear his voice, and brought him into the dark cloud, and gave him commandments before his face, even the law of life and knowledge, that he might teach Jacob his covenants and Israel his judgments. Yeah, it was for Jacob, it was for Israel, it was for that really for the elect, because 2/3 ain't it's not going to register. They're going to have to be erased and come back in the kingdom in their right state of mind. But that's why it's these things are there and it's recorded. And then as well, it's because Esau's, you go to his criminal justice system, but the whole of America is based off what? The scriptures. So then it's recorded again. So it applies. Because why he can't hold himself like, oh, I didn't know. Because no, your company's the one printing the Bibles and selling them. So as far as for you, these, you can't hold yourself not guilty. But then what? You got something on that?
No.
So it says he exalted Aaron, an holy man like unto him, even his brother of the tribe of Levi, an everlasting covenant he made with him, and gave him the priesthood among the people. He beautified him with comely ornaments, and clothed him with a robe of glory. He put upon him perfect glory, and strengthened him with rich garments, with breeches, with a long robe, and the ephod. And he compassed him with pomegranates, and with many golden bells round about, that as he went, there might be a sound, and a noise made that might be heard in the temple, for a memorial to the children of his people. With a holy garment, with gold and blue silk and purple, the work of the embroider, with a breastplate of judgment, and with Urim and Thummim, with twisted scarlet, the work of the cunning workman, with precious stones, graven like seals and set in gold, the work of the jeweler, with a writing engraved for a memorial after the number of the tribes of Israel. And it's funny as well, because like the priesthood was set up, but then like Exodus, 19:6, king of a nation, kings, a nation of kings and priests. Yeah, because my brain is faltering on.
Shall be a kingdom of priests. It's 19, 5 and 6. I'll read it. Exodus 19, 5 and 6. It reads, Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the wonders which thou shalt speak to the children of Israel.
Yeah, kingdom of priests. So that's going to be, it was originally set up with Levi having the priesthood. But what? In the kingdom, it's all Israel going to be priests, kings and priests.
Well, it was before Levi got it. It was meant to be
The firstborn.
the firstborn.
Yeah. And then like afterwards, it was set up with Levi.
But that even shows you that within it, the fact that the firstborn with the priest, it basically speaks. It's an ode to the elect, because the elect is going to be set up as, you know, the firstborn, first fruits, and being the kings and priests over the nation of Israel. That are basically going to be the loins that replenish the nation of Israel to again be as the sand of the sea.
Fullness, yeah.
But then even you had Yahushua before any priesthood was even mentioned, dealing with Melchizedek.
Melchizedek, yeah, which Paul got the, you know,
The scoop on that.
yeah, and that's why it's like the Lord, you know, the Lord with different men, different offices, different things that are given unto them. Because what Paul said, it was what he's the apostle unto the Gentiles, and that's why it's like even with Peter, he said like, hey, some of the things that Paul's teaching is heavy. So that's why it's like there's portions given, and that's why it's like, you know, everyone gets their talents, everyone gets their gifts, and they're given different measures, and that's it. You know, it says what you can even get in was it 1 Corinthians 9 about the gifts? Maybe 2 Corinthians. It said what? Maybe it's 12.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 12. 12 and 1, I'll read it.
Oh, yes.
Now concerning Slakia, 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would have you not ignorant. Right? Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaking by the Spirit of the Most High calleth Yahushua accursed, and that no man can say that Yahushua is the Lord, but by the Holy Spirit. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit, and there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord.
Yeah,
And
so diversity of gifts besides, but the same Spirit, because it's all about what? You know, we're rousing the elect and basically prophesying of the end. Because that's why it's like, even when you deal with prophecies at the end, there's different prophets all given different portions of certain things.
I've got more.
Mm-hmm.
And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same power which worketh all in all. But the manifestations of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given the Spirit of the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues.
Yeah, all these different ways for the word to get pushed out. So even with diversity of tongues, go to Acts chapter 2 and 5, or you can just, even in the modern day, you've got various brothers, even among GMS, teaching the word in all kinds of languages, and that's what through the Spirit, the Lord basically had these things come together and happen, and that's why it's like, as far as for for the gifts, it's all what for the purpose of pushing forward the word. You got more?
Yeah. But all these worketh to one slug. But all these worketh that one and the self same spirit dividing to every man severally as he will. For as the body is one and have many members, and all members of the one of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is the united.
Yeah, it's all part of one body. Because that's the thing, it's all in accord. Because even with going back to Yahushua, when it says, I believe it was the wicked scribes and Pharisees saying that, he throws out the demons by Satan. And he says, if Satan be divided against himself, how then shall his kingdom stand? And I say it's among the elect. It's not about it's not going to be conflict. It's not going to be butting heads. You might have reproof and rebuke that goes out, but then what? It's all for the sake of that same word. It's all so the word can prosper. It's not going to be like with fucking France and the UK, putting on policies that are fucking each other up, even though they're of the same nation, and they're meant to they're all meant to be working together essentially as Edomites. But what? That's how confused and destroyed this place is now, and really it shows the state Jake's in as well, because Jake's in that state where really, only the elect's gonna come together. But it's like among Israel, there shouldn't be any enemy, and even that's been a thing for the longest. Because going back to the time of what Rehoboam and Jeroboam, after Rehoboam ascended to the throne, then what had to split the 10 tribes that were taken by Jeroboam, and then that enmity between the two tribes between the 10 tribes and the two tribes that endured for hella time.
2 kingdoms.
And that was only mended recently through the Spirit, because it's like you had both Ephraim and Judah getting oppressed together. Then the Lord put in the Spirit, man, that divine inspiration to bring it together.